I never knew I was going to sponsor a car event. I never knew I was going to be in a quick meeting where the guy's like, hey, meet us out on Lake Austin tomorrow. I never knew that we would be sponsoring Health Supernova at the Capital Factory. I didn't know that we were going to have follow-up meetings with investors. I didn't know that we were going to have multiple follow-up meetings with this one gentleman who's connected to Elon. Had no clue that any of these things would happen. What I did know was that it requires work to be in position for these things to happen. There's no right timing. There's no perfect timing. There's no, it's gonna happen tomorrow. It's gonna happen next week. It's gonna happen next year. I might walk out of this podcast studio and meet somebody in the hallway on an elevator. Hey, what do you do? I do this, that, and the other. Oh, wow, I'm interested. Do you have time to go to lunch? If I didn't put in the work, I'm gonna be hesitant, reserved. Man, I might feel fake. I might feel imposter syndrome. I might feel a certain way where I say, nah, sorry, I can't meet you for lunch. Well, that might be that one opportunity that you miss that triggers the cascade of all this great things down the road. See, everything cascades, everything rolls, everything is connected, everything is causal. A causes B, causes C, causes D. A should be putting in the work, because when you put in the work, B, C, D, E, F, all the way to double Z, triple Z is gonna happen. But nothing happens if you don't go with letter A and put in the work. Yo, what's up, everybody? This is the End-to-End Podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. Yun Nguyen, also known as Ninja or Prolific Ninja on my socials and by my family and friends. And because my fans are my friends, you can call me Ninja too. This is the End-to-End Podcast, the Alpha to the Omega, the beginning to the end, talking about life, motivation, drive, success, self-improvement, and offering you morsels in this all-you-can-eat buffet called life. We are back, bro. We are back in the studio. It continues to be a whirlwind 2025, and I cannot be more ecstatic. I'll tell you about that in just a little bit, but just back from Austin from a tremendous week that I'll fill you on the details and give you the lesson for today, or not a lesson, but the topic of today. But before I get into that, I'm going to start the episode as I start every day. If you're new to the show, or if you've been listening for a while, you know that I'm a doctor, lawyer, business guy, have had a law firm in Houston for over 22 decades, helping thousands of people recover millions of dollars. But that has allowed me to be blessed enough to branch out into other business and verticals like health tech, legal tech, blockchain, and things like that. So, you know, every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do when I open my eyes and get my consciousness back is thank God in the universe for another day to hopefully be great, hopefully inspire one person at least to live to their fullest controllable potential, because that's what we're all about, is inspiration. And with that, I want to thank everybody out there that's been listening for now almost over 3.5 years on this podcast and our shorts and so on. We cannot grow this show without your support. In fact, in one of my car groups, got a shout out this morning from one of the guys saying, you know, the last episode that we dropped last week, Emmanuel, if you're out there, thank you very much. That episode that we dropped last week was a great one. So it's things like that grow the show. And so we do this on a karmic exchange, meaning that if you find value out of the show, do not owe me a karmic debt or an energy debt. I believe energy always rebalances at the end of the day. So if you receive energy from the show, please send it back or send it out. Okay, and that's everything rebalancing. And so we like to say, if you're knowledgeable, share the show. That is how we grow. So if you just get even 0.01% better, please do share the show, restore that karmic balance, or visit some of the projects that I'm working on. WestloopLaw.com, CuraConnector.com, CuraConnector.com, LegacyXToken.com, PureWallet.ai, PFASInjuryAttorney.com. These are things that I've been working on, projects that have ultimately turned into companies and ways to expand, you know, my universe. And so restore that balance by just visiting those properties if you can. It's been a whirlwind summer, whirlwind 2025, and let's get right into it. So specifically, last week, there's a reason why you must put in the work. Just like my shirt says, outwork everybody. You have to put in the work. Not because it's work, but it's actually preparation time. The work you put in is preparation, because why? I'll give you an example. We sponsored a car event in Austin, the Exotics Network. Look them up on Instagram. Great guys, Adonis and Anand. Shout out to you guys, young entrepreneurs, you know, degreed guys that said, screw corporate life, we're going to start a car network. They've done a tremendous job. They, you know, met them earlier this year at COTA. And, you know, expressed interest to sponsor what they're doing because I believe in what they're doing. Young, hustling guys. And so sponsored an event, just one event at the Domain in Austin, which is a high-end shopping district. Thousands of people, hundreds of supercars. I mean, the CEO of Lotus brought out his 2,000 horsepower electric, basically race car. There was just Bugattis galore, McLaren P1. I mean, just everything you can see in the car world. Anyway, my point being is through that, in one brief encounter, met this one gentleman. And this one gentleman basically was early when Elon was still in San Francisco, was early and instrumental in bringing Elon and Tesla to Austin. Imagine that kind of influence and network at that level. I can't say his name because I'm sure he doesn't want to be known public. However, very chance encounter. Hey, Anand introduced me to this gentleman. Hey, this is guy, he's a sponsor. Oh yeah, great. Exchange numbers. What are you doing on Saturday? What? Or the next day. I forget what day it was. It's been a whirlwind. What are you doing tomorrow? What? Meet us out on the lake. Why? Just meet us out on the lake. It's going to be a good time. Obviously had other plans, but I ditched the other plans and met him on the lake. Turns out is that they're working on this mega real estate project on Lake Austin. Can't disclose too much about it. Mega project. But then on top of that, we're having conversation, meeting other people. Why are you here in Austin? Well, we sponsored the Exotic Network with the car show. One of the companies, Cura Connector, is sponsoring the Health Supernova at the Capital Factory later in the week. Great, let me go check you out. Health Supernova, major event, 400 or 500 healthcare, very influential healthcare venture capitalists, investors, researchers, doctors, other business people. We were the headline sponsor, gave out tremendous presentation, just an outstanding event all across the board. Out of all that, now we have several investor meetings, several demo meetings, several opportunities where people are thinking this has a potential, hopefully, to be a unicorn, which is $1 billion company. Okay? Why do I tell you all of these things? Because none of this would have happened if I didn't put in the work. I never knew I was going to sponsor a car event. I never knew I was going to be in a quick meeting where the guy's like, hey, meet us out on Lake Austin tomorrow. I never knew that we would be sponsoring Health Supernova at the Capital Factory. I never knew that I was going to be on stage presenting. And by the way, after the whole day, I had so many very influential people come up. Man, you brought the energy this morning. That was the best presentation we've ever seen at Capital Factory. I don't know why, I don't know what, but I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know that we were going to have follow-up meetings with investors. I didn't know that we were going to have multiple follow-up meetings with this one gentleman who's connected to Elon. Had no clue that any of these things would happen. What I did know was that it requires work to be in position for these things to happen. And that is why it is so important to put in the work. It's like my son, Nate, who just reported to a Division I basketball program late in May. It's now been 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, I just saw him for the first time yesterday for Father's Day. By the time you get this would have been last weekend. And by the way, happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers out there. One of the toughest jobs on the planet. However, how you doing? Man, everything's great except, I need to get bigger and stronger. Well, did you put in the work? Because you never know when the time is going to be right. There's no right timing. There's no perfect timing. There's no, it's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen next week. It's going to happen next year. I might walk out of this podcast studio and meet somebody in the hallway on an elevator. Hey, what do you do? I do this, that, and the other. Oh, wow, I'm interested. Do you have time to go to lunch? If I didn't put in the work, I'm going to be hesitant, reserved. Man, I might feel fake. I might feel, imposter syndrome. I might feel a certain way where I say, nah, sorry, I can't meet you for lunch. Well, that might be that one opportunity that you miss that triggers the cascade of all this great things down the road. That's why it's just putting in the work, because you never know when that chance meeting, that chance opportunity, that chance whatever is going to happen. And if you're unprepared, what's going to more likely happen? You're going to decline the opportunity. You're going to decline the meeting. You're going to decline the chance that might just put you over the top. And so when I had the chance meeting at CODA earlier this spring to say, hey, man, let me sponsor something because y'all are doing some great work here. Had they not put in the work setting up, talking about the Exotics Network, had they not put in the work setting up their organization, they might not have gotten my sponsorship to push off what they're wanting to do. See, everything cascades, everything rolls, everything is connected, everything is causal. A causes B, causes C, causes D. A should be putting in the work. Because when you put in the work, B, C, D, E, F, all the way to double Z, triple Z is going to happen. But nothing happens if you don't go with letter A and put in the work. No clue that offering to sponsor something back in, I'm going to say February, March, would lead to something in June, which would lead to something the next day in June, which would lead to the next week. And now I'm going back tonight to Austin to catch the world premiere. By the time you see this, it'll be Thursday, but this is Monday as we're recording, to go back to Austin to see the world premiere of F1 at the Bullock Museum in Austin 2 weeks before the world premiere of the movie, where this is an exclusive invitation to go watch the world premiere, the pre-release world premiere of F1 with Brad Pitt. Allegedly the best racing movie that's going to be out ever. But now we're talking with billionaires, centimillionaires, decamillionaires, all at this place. And it's not about the money, though. Let me just say that. It's not about the money. I don't care how much money anybody has. It's about the opportunity and the relationship. And so being in a position now to create these opportunities and create these relationships and nurture these opportunities and nurture these relationships, add value to these people, have them add value to me. That's how it builds and builds and builds. But none of this would exist if I didn't put myself out there and did the work. Just like last week's episode, which, again, Emmanuel, thank you for shouting it out, bro. If you don't put yourself out there, right, opportunity will never happen. If you don't put in the work, opportunity will never happen. If you don't put in the work, you might not want to put yourself out there for the opportunities to happen. I mean, we're on a hydrofoil boat on Lake Austin. If you don't know what a hydrofoil boat is, it's one of those boats that you start off on the water and then slowly it lifts up, and now you're above the water. You're hydrofoiling above the water. Was not on the bingo card in my lifetime to be on a hydrofoil boat. Nope. But all of a sudden, within 24 hours of going to a car show, I'm on a hydrofoil boat. It just happens like that. I'm on a hydrofoil, what you call it? It's like a surfboard or wakeboard, but you're hydrofoiling. Got up on that. Wasn't in the bingo card for this year, much less in my lifetime. Just yesterday, I'm wake surfing on Lake Austin. Same group of guys, you know, and there was no talk of money. There was no talk of nothing other than building relationships and talking about future projects, things we can do together. That was it. That was it. But one thing leads to another. But even to get to that one thing, you got to put in the work. So again, we are halfway through 2025. Literally halfway through. It's June, 16th. Literally the middle of the year. Put in the work. And if you haven't put in the work, start putting in the work. And if you've been putting in the work, keep going. Don't quit. Have faith. Have belief that things will be triggered and opportunities will present themselves. Because the last thing you want to happen is the opportunity to be there, but you're unprepared. Had we sponsored the Health Supernova with CuraConnector.com, investor says, yeah, I'm ready to write your check. Oh man, we're sorry, we're not quite ready to take your money. I mean, what are you going to do? Why are you doing what you're doing? Same thing in your own personal life. If you're not learning about, for example, AI and how that can apply to your industry or business, what happens when you get into the elevator and your director or your boss or the CEO of the company is on the same elevator? And he says, hey, man, he looks over at you. It's you and him in the elevator, or her, whoever the CEO is. Hey, we're doing a AI push for our company. Do you know anybody that is familiar with AI? If you hadn't put in the work, that could be you. If you did put in the work. Yeah, I know a lot about AI. I've been studying it. Oh, interesting. Why don't you set an appointment with my assistant? Come talk to me about it. Boom. Just like that. That's how fast it can happen. Or in the alternative, if you're not studying it or you're not prepared, hey, we're doing a company push for AI. Do you know anybody? Oh, man, I don't. Sorry, I don't know much about the topic. Okay, well, what department are you in? Yeah, I'm in shipping. Okay. It literally can happen that fast. But that's where faith and belief comes in, to put in the work, to put in the grind. You just have to understand that and have a comfort level with the unknown. And you fill the unknown with belief and faith through the example you put in by putting in the work. You got to outwork everybody if you want that for yourself. If you want that lifestyle, if you want that success, if you want that story for your life, you got to put in the work and outwork anybody. And let me just clarify that before we wrap this. This is not putting in your daily work that you normally do every day, day in, day out. This is not your job. Yes, excel at your job. But when I say put in the work, that's put in the work on yourself, learning new things, learning new skills, learning about other things that is not in your routine. It's like exercise. I was talking about this the other day with somebody. Well, I walk, 10,000 steps a day. Well, everybody freaking walks. You have to distinguish between activity and real exercise. And just like this, you have to distinguish between your daily activity and your actual work. Again, the analogy at practice for my son. Team practice is not putting in the work. Team practice is team practice. Putting in the work is staying out by yourself after practice, getting up the extra reps, getting up the extra shots, getting up the extra ball handling, doing the extra weightlifting on your own. That is putting in the work. Not team practice. That's not putting in work. That's putting in practice. Same thing in your life. You're doing your job. That's not putting in work. Putting in work is, okay, you do your job and you spend another hour learning a new topic, reading a different book, learning self-improvement. That is putting in the work. Then when the opportunity presents itself, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Can we schedule a meeting? That's how it works. That is literally how it works. If you wanted a secret, little key to that lock to opening the door, put in the work. Believe in yourself, put in the work, have faith, have belief that it's going to happen. And I promise you, it will. It will happen. So glad to be back in the studio. Glad to be back in Houston. I'll be traveling again in Austin. So if you're in Austin, we're back and forth all the time now because it is just opening up. In fact, later this week, I will be in the Google headquarters in Austin learning about quantum computing and how that's going to affect entire industries, the entire planet at Google. Following that, on Thursday, we'll be doing an Ethereum programming project also in Austin. So it's going to be like that, but glad to be back in the studio, glad to bring you another episode, glad to illustrate to you, hopefully, why putting in the work can open the door to so many opportunities for you, but you just have to put in the work. I'm going to close this episode as I close every day. If you're new to the show, if you've been listening for a while, you know that when I close my eyes at the end of the day, right before I shut off my phone, close my eyes, and drift off into dreamland, I thank God and the universe again for another day to hopefully have been great and hopefully inspire just one person to live to that their fullest controllable potential. Hopefully that's you as you're listening to this. And if it is, please restore that karmic balance. Don't owe me a karmic debt. You know that's how we operate, entirely on energy, frequency, and waves. So please do share the show or visit any of the websites that I'm working on. Contribute to the project, comment, whatever. If you're knowledgeable, share the show. It's how we grow. Do not owe me that karmic debt. And with that, be great today, but be even more grateful. And I look forward to bringing you to another episode next week, very, very soon.